A question that I get asked a lot is, what is a valet or a valet? And how is that different from a butler? Well, first of all, I guess we need to look at the term historically. So the term valet comes from the Norman French, and we see it start sometime in the 1300s, meaning a personal manservant. And it's a variant of the older word vassal, which basically also means a male servant, which comes from the Gallo-Roman, so the French Roman term vassalitas, meaning squire or page. Now, obviously, it's a French word, so you could argue that the correct pronunciation is valet with the silent T, a bit like my name, Rosset, with the silent T. It became anglicized as it became used a lot in Britain, and there it became valet with a hard T. To be honest, both are perfectly correct. I will probably, for the purpose of this video, I'm going to use valet. Now, the reason I'm going to use that is not because I think it's necessarily superior to valet, but it's just to avoid any confusion with the fact that valet has now been used for a lot of other things, like people who do car parking at casinos and things like that, which is, of course, something totally different. Valets are extremely rare these days, but that's by no means to say that they do not continue to exist. In fact, quite recently, I trained a valet for a gentleman in the USA. I know he watches the channel, so if you're watching, thank you very much. In fact, I know they both watch the channel, so if you're both watching, thank you so much. And that was a very enjoyable experience. I hope things are not as crazy in real life in the USA as they seem to appear in the news. But one of the main reasons that you so rarely see adverts for jobs as valets these days is the term traveling butler. So more often than not, people have pivoted to referring to a valet as a traveling butler, or sometimes they're even referred to as a PA, and it's a more active PA role. Because traditionally what a valet is supposed to do is look after the gentleman's wardrobe. So I figured it was pretty appropriate for me to do this video here in my hotel room. So the valet would arrive with their principal. They would unpack for them. They would do their ironing for them, make sure that everything within the room is exactly how they like it. They would run errands. They would look after financial matters as they travel, even looking after things like security and personal matters like possibly arranging visas and doctors and anything else that's required. Now, I'm a huge fan of the book Around the World in 80 Days, and the character of Passepartout in that novel is a gentleman's valet. Another popular valet in fiction would, of course, be Jeeves from P.G. Wodehouse's Jeeves and Wooster. And I think you can see how, in a modern connotation, a very large amount of those duties would come under what people would think of nowadays as a PA. Throughout most of my career, I have been what you would call a house butler. So I've been a butler that was specifically based in a property, and I would look after everything to do with that property, including the other staff and the maintenance and the bills and everything else within it. But I have also at times worked as a traveling butler, or more accurately, a valet. Now, it's an extremely enjoyable job because you get to travel the world and you get to see things that otherwise you would never see. But of course, the downside is when you travel the world, you mostly see the inside of villas or hotel rooms. You usually get very little time for yourself to actually go and sort of sit on the beach or have a paddle in the water or anything like that, because you are extremely invested and concentrating on making sure that everything is just perfect for the principal. So it's obviously a massive commitment to become a valet. You will give up quite a proportion of your life to fulfill that role. Having said that, it's extremely rewarding, and you are afforded with a close bond with your principal that, to be honest, almost no other job would ever have. That's why, to be honest, it's not really a great job for someone who's married. It works much better for someone who is single and doesn't have ties at home. As someone who now myself spends a very large amount of my time traveling on business, I can very much see the attraction of employing a valet, because what it basically gives you is that confidence in knowing that someone's always got your back. Someone is always going to make sure that you have exactly what you need when you need it. You're safe, you're sound, you've got your hotel reservations, your car's going to be waiting outside for you, you're going to get to your meeting on time. That's why, bearing this in mind, I decided to start a new part of my business. We've been providing house butlers or temporary house butlers for years, as well as training, which of course is the thing I usually talk about on this channel, is training. But what I've decided to do is start offering international valets. We'll be starting quite small, just with countries where So rolling out over the next few months, I'm going to be spending some time reaffirming some of the really amazing contacts that I have around the world, some of my former students, and some butlers that I've just got to know over the years, to really build a truly spectacular network. Obviously, I'll have to start with just a few countries, but within a few months, hopefully, we're going to have butlers around the world, or more accurately, valets around the world. I think I'll probably call it a butler service to avoid confusion, but please let me know in the comments if you think that that would be misleading and you think that valet would be a better term, or maybe you've got another term that you think would be better still, and I'd be really interested to hear. So the premise of the business is going to be so simple. You could go to a country that you've never been to before. I mean, it could be here in the Caribbean, it could be Africa, it could be India, and you will have meeting you at the airport someone that you 100% know you can trust, because they'll be fully vetted and trained by myself. They will then look after you throughout your stay, ensuring that you have a luxurious, a safe, and a productive time. All transactions will be done through my British company. So, again, you're not going to be asked to pay cash for anything. You're not going to be asked to make any transactions in that country. And then they will look after you and eventually pop you back on the plane back home safe and sound, in the true style of a traditional valet. I'm really interested to hear what you think. Maybe you've got some good names for me that I could call the company. So thanks very much. Oh, just really quickly, I so nearly forgot to tell you, just in case any of you haven't had the opportunity as yet to order my book, Be More Butler, it's available on Amazon. So follow the link below and look out for that one. Bye-bye.